Listen, I think almost more importantly than what the U.S. is doing is what China just did, right? We've got now the two biggest economies in the world, cutting rates and pumping liquidity into the system. And at the same time, we're going to have an election. And either candidate wins, we're going to have a lot more regulatory clarity.
미국이 하는 일보다 더 중요한 것은 중국의 전면적인 유동성 공급이며 현재는 글로벌 경제 대국인 미국과 중국 모두 금리를 전격적으로 인하하고 있기 때문에 더 많은 유동성이 시장에 분출될 것이라고 주장하고 있는 인물은 크립토 시장의 거물 갤럭시 디지털의 CEO 마이크 노보그라츠입니다. 노보그라츠는 크립토 시장에 경험이 많은 고인물 플레이어이자 기관 투자자인 만큼 그가 생각하는 향후 크립토 시장의 방향성과 규제 및 전망에 대한 그의 디테일한 인사이트에 대해서 함께 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
Bitcoin gaining 8.5% last month, doing much better than the major stock indexes. Join us right now in an exclusive interview. Galaxy founder and CEO Mike Novogratz. The move has been made. The question, of course, is was it made, or is there more to the making, Mike? And I think that's what everybody's trying to understand, given where the Fed is and everything else, and how interconnected you think these things really are.
Yeah, listen, the Fed is going to keep moving rates lower. How fast they do, we'll see. I think Chairman Powell was pretty straightforward yesterday. The data is going to matter. I think he'd like to move rates faster, lower faster, but he's not going to be a kamikaze. And so right now you're pricing at about 33 basis points for each of the next meetings. That's probably fair, and we'll see with payroll and a few other big data points.
So what do you think each basis point or even quarter point reduction means to the price of Bitcoin if you think that they actually move in tandem?
Listen, I think almost more importantly than what the U.S. is doing is what China just did, right? We've got now the two biggest economies in the world, cutting rates and pumping liquidity into the system. And at the same time, we're going to have an election, and either candidate wins, we're going to have a lot more regulatory clarity. And it was really interesting what Walt Bettinger said. He said, well, if we had regulatory clarity, then Schwab would probably be much bigger in crypto. At least that's the way I heard him. I think there are scores of TradeFi companies and large ones with the exact same idea. And I'm really confident that a year from now, we will have regulatory clarity.
Under whomever is in charge?
Yes. I spent a lot of time speaking to people around the Harris campaign. The one thing that comes clear is this is going to be a first-term presidency, not a second Biden term. And that means different personnel, different policies. They are going to shift away from the Elizabeth Warren faction, which really, I think most Democrats realized it was a fool's errand. Like, why are you standing in the way of a technology that's important? You think about what the important technology is coming. AI is certainly the most important, but blockchain is right there, right. Robotics. And so
you've been publicly supporting Democrats for a very long time, but there has been a real move, obviously, within the crypto space to support former President Trump. Do you see that changing over this issue of crypto the way you now see it?
Listen, it's 33 days to the election, and I think most people have made their choice up. And I think this is going to be who gets the vote. To me, I think it's a 50-50 call right now on who's going to win. And you're going to see it all in 7 states, 42 counties, and about 100,000 votes. It's a crazy way to elect a president. I do think, though, going forward, both the House and the Senate and whoever's in the executive side is going to be pro-crypto. I've spent a lot of time with different congressmen and senators. I'm seeing one today on the Republican side. And they all kind of get it now. This is an important technology for America. And
when you say pro-crypto, though, what does that mean? I mean, look, there's Bitcoin and there's Ether. Then I'm looking at Solana. There's Ripple below it. What else are we talking about?
I think it's relatively simple what D.C. has to do. They have to pass a market infrastructure bill that's not too suffocating, right? Tell us where we're regulated. One reason we don't have a lot of apps on top of these blockchains is that companies are scared to build. Real companies are scared to build apps on top of blockchains because they're not sure if they're going to get arrested for issuing a token or not. And so once there's clarity, you'll see a lot more innovation on blockchains. And so it's a market infrastructure bill, a stablecoin bill, and it's a direction to the OCC to let TradeFi companies hold crypto on their balance sheets. Those 3 things and I'll stop going to Washington as the whole crypto community.
What are you hearing as it relates to the ETFs and how big the inroads have been? Obviously, there was a big move afoot when this first happened, but it's quieted down materially since then. And I'm trying to understand what's happened, because I think part of the expectation was that, you know, all these advisors were all of a sudden going to be out there marketing this stuff, and it was going to shift the balance.
You know, that's a slower process than I think the market anticipated, right? Like, a lot of these big platforms are just starting a month ago, starting this month, starting next month. And so I think this will be a, you know, ongoing play over the years, not over the months. And I just think the more different ways you give access, the next big jolt to Bitcoin is going to be when we have options that trade on the ETFs. The SEC said they're coming. I don't know if it's in 3 weeks or a month, but we will have.
And what do you think that jolt is worth?
You know, if you look at MicroStrategy as the one place right now you can get leverage on Bitcoin as a retail investor, it trades at more than 2.3 times the value of the Bitcoin it has, mostly because of the options. It is the single, often most weeks, it's the single largest, option stock in the whole market. And that tells me something, that there's a whole bunch of young guys on Robinhood that want to play crypto and want to do it with leverage. And
what do you think happens, by the way, to MicroStrategy if, in fact, that options become available?
You know, we'll see. We'll see. Michael Saylor has got a almost Elon Musk-like hold on a lot of people. They believe in him. It seems to be a stock that's very expensive relative to the Bitcoin it owns, but fighting Elon Musk when he was hot was a hard thing to do, and I'm sure people think the same thing with Saylor.